Alberto Contador's announcement on Monday morning that he will hang up his wheels at the end of the Vuelta a España surprised only for its timing. The question of when and how to quit cycling has been hanging in the air over the Spaniard for almost 2 years. He speculated he might end his career in 2016, but an unhappy spell riding for Tinkoff prompted him to hang on for another season. Contador then speculated he might continue into 2018, before posting an Instagram video on Monday morning in which the 34-year-old stated, "The Vuelta would be my last professional race. I say that with joy, without the slightest sadness. It's a decision that I come to after mature reflection, and I don't think there can be a better way to say goodbye than at a race in your own country." He retires as one of 6 riders to have won all 3 Tours. He was also the youngest and the quickest to achieve the feat, managing it before the age of 25 and in only 15 months. He remains the most successful Grand Tour rider of his generation, with 2 victories each in the Giro and Tour, and 3 in the Vuelta. Bernard Hinault is the only other man to win each more than once. Much of the earlier part of his career was mired in controversy, and he departs as an embodiment of the contradictions and doubts that have underpinned his sport in the post-Lance Armstrong era, as, it is universally hoped, cycling attempts to leave the years of industrial-scale doping behind. In February 2012, Contador was banned for 2 years at the end of a 585-day battle to clear his name after traces of the banned steroid clenbuterol were found in his urine. He never disputed the finding but claimed the substance must have been contained in contaminated beef. The Basque government's submission in the case suggested it was probably solo milo veal and that the animal would have weighed 290 kilograms. It was never established whether Contador had doped. A theory that the clenbuterol might have entered his system via a contaminated blood bag was never proven, and the Court of Arbitration for Sport concluded the drug most probably had been ingested through a contaminated food supplement. What mattered was the principle of strict liability for anti-doping to work. The athlete has ultimately to be held responsible for what is in his or her system, whether or not doping is proven. It was hard to avoid the sense Contador was also paying the price, morally at least, for his links to 2 of cycling's most notorious doping directors, Sport of Manolo Saiz, with whom he turned professional in 2003, and Johan Bruyle, who picked him up when Saiz Liberty Seguro's team went bust in the wake of the 2006 Operation Puerto blood doping scandal, in which Contador was initially implicated but ultimately cleared. Alberto Contador in yellow at the 2007 Tour de France, one of the most controversial races of recent years. Photograph Joel Sage Tap Getty Images under Bruyle at Discovery Channel. Contador emerged the winner in 2007 of one of the most controversial Tours de France of recent years, taking over the yellow jersey after Michael Rasmussen's midnight flit. In 2008, having moved to the Astana team, he and his team were refused entry to the Tour de France following the Kazakh squad's doping history. Instead, he was famously called in from a beach holiday to ride the Giro d'Italia, which he won, adding the Vuelta later that year. And 2009 saw his battle against Armstrong, who had returned from retirement to jointly lead Astana in the Tour de France, and 2010 a third Tour win, after a much-debated attack on the race leader Andy Schleck in the Pyrenees when the latter derailed his chain at a key moment. That victory was taken away from him following the clenbuterol verdict, as was his overall title in the 2011 Giro. When Contador turned up to start the 2011 Tour a few weeks later, the defending champion only in a provisional sense as the clenbuterol case was continuing, he faced a chorus of boos at the team presentation. He accepted his reception with dignity, substituted the clenbuterol ban when it came, and on his return began to achieve something approaching redemption with attacking racing that led to a pair of Vuelta wins and a 2015 Giro victory, most memorably, a dramatic long-distance move at Fuentedere that turned the 2012 Vuelta in his favor. In the Tour, Contador rarely appeared at his best after the ban, often crashing out, often attacking spectacularly to no great effect. In his final one last month he made a mark on the race with well-calculated attacks en route to Fotheringham, but never looked as if he would threaten for the podium. It was hard to avoid the slightly poignant sense here was a man bravely but fruitlessly chasing the form that had marked his youth. Clearly, since the Tour, reality has set in. Winners of all three Grand Tours: Jacques Anquetil TDF 1957, 1961, 1962, 1963, 1964, Giro 1960, 1964, Vuelta 1963, Felice Gimondi TDF 1965, Giro 1967, 1969, 1976, Vuelta 1968, Eddy Merckx TDF 1969, 1970, 1971, 1972, 1974, Giro 1968, 1970, 1972, 1973, 1974, Vuelta 1973, Bernard Hinault TDF 1978, 1979, 1981, 1982, 1985, Giro 1980, 1982, 1985, Vuelta 1978, 1983, Alberto Contador TDF 2007, 2009, Giro 2008, 2015, Vuelta 2008, 2012, 2014, Vincenzo Nibali TDF 2014, Giro 2013, 2016, Vuelta 2010, Alberto Contador retires.